4 college students were stabbed to death inside of an off-campus home. 2 roommates survive, and there is no murder weapon found.
Trigger warning. Viewers' discretion is advised.
Hey, welcome back to Katie Knows Crime. My name's Katie, and today we're going to be going over the case of the Idaho murders. Kaylee Goncalves was 21 years old. Friends described her as outgoing, funny, and energetic. She loved social media, traveling, and spending time with her friends. Kaylee had recently moved out and was planning for a new job in Texas. She was only back in Moscow visiting her friends for the weekend. Madison Mogen, often called Maddie, was extremely close to Kaylee. The two were best friends. She was described as calm, funny, kind, and welcoming. Maddie worked at a local restaurant with Xana. Xana was 20 years old. People described her as fun-loving and caring. She was also dating Ethan Chapin. Ethan was known as friendly, athletic, and easygoing. He was also a triplet, being very, very close to his siblings. One reason this case hit people so hard is because the victims genuinely seemed like normal college students. Friends, parties, and plans for the future. Then suddenly everything changed overnight. The victims spent their weekend hanging out with their friends, attending parties, and going to bars. Nothing had seemed unusual. November 13th, 2022, the victims returned during the early morning hours. Xana had received a DoorDash order shortly before the killing. Sometime after 4 a.m., the attacks had begun. All 4 victims were stabbed, and 2 surviving roommates were inside the house during the murders. One surviving roommate later reported seeing a masked man dressed in all black walking past her. This became one of the most chilling details of this case. Honestly, to really think about it, this roommate's details are absolutely terrifying. Imagine opening up your door, seeing someone walk past you in the dark, and later realizing 4 people in the house had been murdered. At first, police had very little to no clear evidence of a suspect or a public motive, but investigators later focused on surveillance footage, cell phone records, and vehicle tracking. Police found a white Hyundai Elantra, which led them to start searching for that same vehicle seen near the house around the time of the murders. That vehicle eventually led toward Kohberger. Bryan was a criminology PhD student at Washington State University. He studied criminal behavior and forensic psychology. Former classmates had described him as intelligent, awkward, and socially distant. Some people who knew him also claimed he was very intense or possessive. The fact that he studied criminology is exactly what makes this case so chilling, as well as being explosive online. People couldn't stop asking, did he think he could outsmart the investigators? One major break came from a knife sheath left at the scene. Investigators had found DNA on it, and according to prosecutors, that DNA linked to Bryan Kohberger through genetic genealogy, and later even direct comparison. This is where the case completely shifted, because once DNA had entered the picture, people started realizing that the police might actually have their guy. December 30th, 2022, Kohberger was arrested at his parents' home in Pennsylvania. Police also seen his vehicle. The arrest quickly became national news. This case dragged on for years, with hearing, evidence, debates, and gag orders. In 2025, Kohberger pleaded guilty to all the murders and received 4 life sentences without the possibility of parole. One huge thing still missing is a confirmed motive. Even after the plea deal, investigators publicly acknowledged that questions still remain. The Idaho murders remain one of the biggest true crime cases of the modern internet era. Even after sentencing, people are still debating, and because so much evidence, footage, and court information exists, people continue to revisit the case constantly online. Let me know what you think about the case of the Idaho murders and what other cases you would like to see. RIP Kaylee, Madison, Xana, and Ethan. And I will see you in my next video.